where the continent meets the crushing force of the Pacific Ocean, there lies a kingdom of water and wood. This is a land of eternal twilight, shrouded in mist, buried beneath the canopy of ancient giants. To the untrained eye, this rainforest is a green fortress, impenetrable and dark. But to the people who have walked this coastline for 10,000 years, this is not a wilderness. It is a garden, it is a factory, it is a temple. Listen to the rhythm of this place. The ocean here does not gently lap the shore, it collides with it. The waves are sledgehammers of cold, gray water, shaped by storms that travel across the entire globe. Survival here requires more than just shelter. It requires an alliance with the elements. The people of the Pacific Northwest, the Haida, the Tlingit, the Nu-Cha-Nulth, did not just survive this rain-soaked purgatory. They built one of the richest and most complex civilizations on Earth without ever planting a single seed of grain. Their wealth came from two gods, the cedar and the salmon. Look at the red cedar. It is the spine of the culture. It is the tree of life. It defies the rot that consumes everything else in this wet environment. Its oils are a natural preservative, a chemical miracle that allows wood to last for centuries in the damp. When a master carver stands before a living tree, he does not see timber. He sees a spirit waiting to be released. Before the first cut is made, he speaks to the tree. He apologizes. He promises that its death will give birth to something greater. This is the birth of the canoe. This is not simple carpentry. This is naval engineering of the highest order. Using nothing but stone chisels, bone drills, and beaver-tooth knives, they transform a massive log into a vessel capable of hunting whales in the open ocean. Watch the process. It is a surgery. They hollow out the center, but the wood is still stiff, the sides too narrow. So they fill the hull with water and drop in red-hot stones. The water boils. The steam rises. The wood softens, becoming pliable as leather. In this moment of heat and tension, they stretch the hull wide, defying the natural shape of the tree to create a craft of perfect hydrodynamic stability. These canoes are the Vikings of the Pacific. They are the semi-trucks of the ancient coast, carrying trade goods, warriors, and entire clans across hundreds of miles of treacherous water. They transform the ocean from a barrier into a highway. But the ocean is also the provider. Every year, a miracle occurs. The rivers, usually cold and clear, turn red. The salmon return, millions of them. It is a biomass migration that feeds the forest, the bears, the eagles, and the people. The harvest is a frenzy of coordinated labor. Men stand on slippery rocks with dip nets and spears, reading the currents, striking with lightning speed. But catching the fish is the easy part. The challenge is time. In a land of constant rain, how do you stop food from rotting? You become a master of chemistry. You use smoke. Inside the massive longhouses, communal mansions built from cedar planks, thousands of fish hang from the rafters. The smoke from alder wood fires wicks away the moisture, sealing the protein in a protective layer. This dried fish is money. It is the fuel that will keep the village alive when the sun vanishes and the winter storms barricade the doors. And in the darkness of winter, when the work is done, the spirit world awakes. This is the time of the potlatch, the time of the mask. In the flickering firelight, the boundaries between human and animal dissolve. A dancer dons the mask of the raven, the great trickster who stole the light. He pulls a string, and the beak snaps open, revealing a human face beneath. It is a sophisticated theatrical technology designed to teach a fundamental truth, that all life is shape-shifting. The bear, the wolf, the eagle, they are just people wearing different skins. To wear the mask is to access their power, to see the world through eyes that are not human. These stories are not written in books. They are written in the Totem Pole. These towering monuments are the heraldry of the coast. They are family trees carved in relief. They tell the neighbors, "We are the children of the whale. We hold the rights to this river. We are the keepers of this land." As long as the cedar stands, the story remains. Transition to the southwest and plains. But leave the mist behind. Travel inland, past the mountains, away from the smell of salt and cedar. The world changes. The green vanishes. The air turns dry and sharp. The earth turns to rust and blood. This is the kingdom of stone and sun, the American Southwest and the Great Plains. Here, the challenge is not the rain, it is the lack of it. Water here is not a constant. It is a ghost. It appears in flash floods and vanishes into the cracked earth. To live here, you must be a master of efficiency. You cannot waste a drop. You cannot waste a movement. Look at the architecture of the Southwest. The ancestral Puebloans did not build with wood, for there were no forests. They became geologists. They built their cities directly into the cliffs, using the sandstone itself. These are the first apartment complexes of North America, defensive citadels tucked under massive rock overhangs. This placement is genius solar engineering. In the summer, when the sun is high and scorching, the cliff shadow keeps the city cool. In the winter, when the sun is low, the rays penetrate deep into the rooms, warming the stone walls. They molded the earth with their hands. Pottery here is not a hobby. It is a critical survival technology. A leaking basket in the desert is a death sentence. But a fired clay pot, painted with geometric prayers for rain, can hold water for weeks. They knew the soil. They knew which clay would crack in the fire and which would harden into stone. And further north, on the endless ocean of grass that is the Great Plains, a different kind of adaptation took hold. Here, life is motion. You cannot build stone cities because the food moves. And the food is a monster. The American bison, a creature of terrifying power, a tank made of muscle and fur. For the people of the plains, the bison is God's pantry. But how do you kill a beast that can outrun a wolf and smash through a wall? You don't overpower it. You outsmart it. Before the horse arrived, hunting was a marathon of endurance and psychology. Young men trained from childhood to run, not for minutes, but for days. They learned to move in silence, to communicate with hand signals that cut through the wind. They learned to cover their scent with sage and ash. We see them crafting their weapons. This is the age of lithic technology, the Stone Age. But look closer. This is not primitive. This is precision physics. A master napper takes a core of obsidian or flint. He calculates the angle of impact, the density of the stone, the flaw in the crystal lattice. With a strike of an antler billet, he sends a shock wave through the stone, flaking off a blade sharper than any steel scalpel exists today. This point, bound to a shaft of straight ash with deer sinew, is a missile designed for maximum penetration. But one man with a spear is nothing against a herd. The hunt is a collective effort. It is a puzzle of landscape. They find the buffalo jump, a cliff edge hidden by a rise in the terrain. The runners, sometimes disguised under wolf skins, manipulate the herd's instinct. They don't chase, they guide. They create a funnel of fear. When the stampede begins, the ground shakes with the force of an earthquake. The bison, blinded by dust and panic, surge forward over the edge. It is a moment of extreme violence, but it is followed by a moment of extreme reverence. When the dust settles, nothing is wasted. The harvest begins immediately. The hide becomes the teepee, the mobile home of the plains, an aerodynamic cone that sheds the wind. The bones become tools, awls, needles, scrapers. The horns become spoons. The stomach becomes a cooking pot. The sinew becomes thread. The brain is used to tan the leather. It is a closed-loop economy where the animal is honored through total utilization. And what of the food? They invented the ultimate survival ration, pemmican. They took the lean meat, dried it until it was brittle, pounded it into a powder, and mixed it with rendered fat and berries. This food is dense, high energy, and imperishable. It could stay edible for years. It allowed them to travel, to survive the brutal winters, to keep moving across the vast expanse. Life in these environments, whether the dripping forests of the Northwest or the sun-baked canyons of the Southwest, forged a specific kind of human spirit. It is a spirit of observation. Look at the old man teaching the child. There are no written manuals here. The classroom is the forest floor. The textbook is the behavior of the raven. The exam is survival. They learn that the world is not a collection of objects, but a community of subjects. The tree has a right to stand. The deer has a right to run. When you take a life, you incur a spiritual debt that must be repaid with gratitude and ritual. In the Pacific Northwest, they carved their gratitude into the cedar, raising totems that watch the sea. In the Southwest, they painted their gratitude onto the canyon walls, red ochre handprints reaching for the sky. These were not people struggling against nature. They were people who had solved the riddle of their environment. They understood that they were not the owners of the land, but its custodians. They knew that the health of the salmon was the health of the people, that the migration of the bison was the heartbeat of the tribe. As we look back at them, moving through the mists or climbing the red rocks, we see a resilience that is almost impossible to comprehend in the modern world. They endured ice ages, droughts, and floods.